What's up, Internet? I'm back with the Star Wars The Vintage Collection Shoretrooper Troop Builder Pack, or whatever it's officially called. This is an exclusive to Hasbro Pulse, I believe. You can get it off of eBay and Amazon for way higher prices. I bought mine off of Hasbro Pulse back when it came out. Initially, I don't know if it's still up on there. I hope it is because this is probably the best troop builder pack that they've done so far. We just get a good amount of variety here, and it's an overall good figure that we've got. It's a reuse or re-release, however you want to call it, of the Vintage Collection and Black Series 3 3/4 inch scale Imperial Shoretrooper or Scarif Stormtrooper action figure, of course from Rogue One, and they decided to make a troop builder pack of it, and that's really great. Um, it came out a little while ago, but I'm just now taking a look at it because this is when I've decided to make a YouTube channel. And it's pretty exciting because I've been looking forward to this. And the Shore Troopers are, yeah, they're like my favorite Imperial trooper. They look so cool to me. And I wouldn't even have a problem if these were just the normal stormtroopers. But overall, this pack is pretty good, but there are some downsides. Before we get on to the figures themselves, though, let's go ahead and take a look at that packaging. So all the figures come in this white box, and it's that plasticless packaging thing that they've got going on. But we've got some nice artwork on the front. It does look a little bit cartoonish or whatever, and I don't love it, but it looks cool. It looks nice. We got Shore Trooper right there, and then we've got all the logos and the warning thing right there. On the sides, we just got all that kind of stuff, some more warnings, and that's what the bottom looks like. And then there's the sides, and then the top, you got the Star Wars The Vintage Collection logo, which looking pretty good. And then the back, we've got some more art, and then some more warning and legal stuff down there. It's the same art from the front. I think there's just less Shore Troopers on this one, and that's what that looks like on the outside. You can open it up from the bottom right here. You just pull this out. We got another Vintage Collection logo, and it just comes out from the sides, and then you open it, and you see those slots for all four figures. They came wrapped in that white paper packaging stuff, you know. I obviously threw all that away, but they come in there looking like that. And that's the packaging. I don't love the plasticless packaging, mainly just because you cannot see the figure that you're going to be getting. With the Vintage Collection and sometimes with the Black Series, they can have some messed up paint apps, mainly on the helmet or the head. And especially when it's a trooper or like a Mandalorian, that stuff just really gets on my nerves. Because I think it's probably, like, I don't work in those factories, but it seems like it's kind of easy to just paint inside those prints. It's just like the visor and the mouthpiece and stuff, and I don't know why they keep messing it up, but they really messed it up bad on these figures. And at this I guess angle, they all look fine right now. But let's go ahead and take a look at these helmets. So first up, we got the Shore Trooper Squad Leader. This is gonna have to be my favorite of the pack, and as you can see, his helmet, the visor, and everything looks pretty nice. I'm pretty sure on this one, though, I did have to go get that fine point Sharpie and fill in the visor a bit, because on all four of these figures here, the goggles, well, they're not the goggles, but the visor, they kind of look like goggles. They were not filled in all the way on the edges, and it looked a little bit like those goofy cartoon eyes, and I just wasn't having it. And then you have the mouthpiece right there, which on this one looks a little bit crooked. It's not horrible. But then we take a look at this one, and as you can see, he's looking pretty messed up. That's because I did try to fix it with a Sharpie on that mouthpiece right there, and it just went horribly wrong because the mouthpiece was printed to the side. It wasn't inside the mold of the helmet for that area. It was like printed all the way like to the side, and so you had the empty I guess mold for the mouthpiece showing, and so I tried to fill it in, but since it's like an uneven thing, it's gonna look asymmetrical when you try and fill it in, and so it just ends up looking kind of bad. And that was the worst case right there. It's not something I really could have fixed. You can kind of see what I'm talking about better with the mouthpiece. This one is printed just a little bit to the side as well. It's not horrible. It is kind of hard to see on the camera, but it's not filling up that mold in the helmet, that sculpt there all the way. And the thing with the other one that I tried to Sharpie in is that it was completely outside the mold, and I had to do something because it just looked so bad. This one is one of the normal Shoretroopers. It looks a little bit better, but I think that one with the visor, I don't think I went and filled in with a Sharpie as much. You can see around the edges, it's not filled in, which is pretty annoying. And I don't know if you can see that black bleeding over out of the visor mold, but I'm pretty sure that's the Sharpie that I put in. It doesn't look bad. It definitely makes the figure look better because it looked a visor. It made the visor look more filled in. But it does end up bleeding over a little bit because it is Sharpie. I do recommend if you're going to fix any of your helmets on your figures like that, you got to do it with Mandalorian sometimes. You definitely want to do it with those fine point black Sharpies. Anything else is just not going to cut it. So it's pretty unfortunate that we did have some paint app mishaps on the helmets, but I did make it to where it was fixed up a little bit so they look fine now. I just wish that Hasbro could do a little bit better on that. They mess up a lot on that stuff with the Stormtrooper helmets, and I just have to go onto eBay and find a certain item that's being sold that I can actually look at the exact figure that I'm gonna buy and see if the paint apps look good, and that's just how it is. I don't want to just like order off of Hasbro Pulse anymore, or order off of Amazon where you can't see the exact figure, because you don't know how bad the paint apps are gonna look, even if it does not have the plasticless packaging. And just as a quick comparison, this is the 3¾ inch Black Series Scarif Stormtrooper that was released before this multi-pack, obviously, and I've made no alterations to its helmet, and it already looks way better than all four of these figures did out of the packaging. And that's just what it looked like out of the packaging. It looks way better, and so I don't know why Hasbro can't just keep doing that. So actually getting to the positives, the rest of the paint apps on these figures look phenomenal. I'm going to go ahead and go over the articulation with just one of the normal Shoretroopers here. In terms of accessories, we get 4 of these normal E11 Stormtrooper blasters. I'm pretty sure these are the Rogue One versions because they have that little attachment on the end right there. I'm not seeing any paint apps on these, but you do get 4 of them, which is pretty nice. Then you also get 2 of these heavy blasters. You can have one for the squad leader and one for the captain. Also no paint apps on these. This one's a little bent just because how the figure wants to hold it. But you do get 2 of these, which is really nice because we didn't get any with the Black Series or Vintage Collection versions of the Shoretrooper individual release figures. So it's nice to get these since these are what they ended up using a lot in the movie. So looking at articulation, with the head, you get a ball joint that goes down this much. We can go up that much. Then you do get a bit of a tilt that goes side to side. I'm trying to figure out if we got any more. I don't think there's a double joint going on there. It's just that's what it is. Of course, it turns all the way around. Looking at the arms, you can get it to go up this much. It is hindered a little bit by the shoulder armor, but it's okay. You get what you need here. And you get it to go down all around. It doesn't really go in that much. Obviously, there's no butterfly joint. But with the elbow articulation, you can get it to go up that much, which is eh. And then with the wrist, I believe this is the one that goes in and out. Yep, you got the in, or you got the out right there. And then you got the in, and of course, it's got the swivel. And then on the other arm, you got the wrist articulation that goes down and up. Taking a look at the torso, you get a crunch that goes down this much, and then you can get it to go back quite a bit. You get a tilt to the side and to the side a little bit. Of course, you can turn it all the way around. I don't think actually, that there's no cut right there at the waist, so the only articulation you get if you want to turn the figure around is this. And then moving down to the legs at the hips, you got an out this much, and then you can get it to go up. Well, hold on. You can just go up that much. The joint in there is going to be a little bit weird because if you want it to go up, you're going to have to like rotate it because it's going to be the same joint that's going to be making it go out. Then you do got the thigh cut right there. It's kind of hard to move because the hip joint is pretty loose. But then with the knee, you got back that much, and then with the ankle, you have back that much, and then forward this much. And then I don't think there's a rocker. I can't get it to move. Maybe it's just because of the armor, because it's really stiff. But you do get a swivel right there, of course. And I, of course, forgot to mention you do also get the swivel on the elbow right there. So that was the articulation. All four of these figures are the exact same mold. There's some differences, like the squad leader has the soft goods as the comma or whatever that is, but they all have the same articulation pretty much. One bad thing though is that these molds are pretty outdated. They first came out back in the 3¾ inch Black Series line when Rogue One was coming out, so that was like late 2016. So these are pretty old by now. They have decent articulation. It's not horrible. It's just the joints are going to be pretty stiff. You don't get a lot of range of motion, and it's best to just put them in kind of neutral poses that I've got them in right now. But let's go ahead and take a look at what these figures are looking like with the paint apps and sculpts and everything. One thing I do love about this mold is that it just proportionally looks really good. It looks like a dude wearing armor, which, you know, that's what it should look like. I have a problem with the Black Series, the 6-inch Black Series version, and that it just looks a bit too skinny. It looks like it's just armor separated from a person, not like it's actually being worn. But this actually looks way better. So with the normal Shoretroopers here, both of them in this pack are the same. They got a little bit of different paint apps than the previous Shoretrooper figures we've gotten. They're a bit more dirtied up, but they still look pretty good. I do prefer this look compared to the old one. And let's actually go take a look at the old one. This is specifically the 3¾ inch Black Series version. I don't have the single release of the Vintage Collection Shoretrooper, but I'm pretty sure they're the exact same figure. And so here's what both of these look side by side. Of course, the older one doesn't have as much paint apps, and it's not wanting to focus. That's great. But the old one doesn't have as much paint apps. It looks a little bit splotchier. Okay. And it's just not as dirtied up as the new one. So you do get some differentiation there, which is nice. So it's still like if you have the old one, you can still army build, and it's a different figure that you're getting here. Other than that, it's all the same paint apps. Of course, they made the paint apps on the helmet better for the old one. I think that may have been because it's a single carded release, and it's just easier to do that. I don't know, maybe when you're trying to make a bunch and put them into a multi-pack like this. I don't know. I literally don't know, but I've noticed that when you have these multi-packs, the paint apps don't look as good for some reason. But here's a look at both of them side by side, if it will focus. So that's what that is. It also seems that the legs on the older one seems to be a bit shinier, maybe a bit of a brighter brown color, while the, and I'm talking about the pants obviously, while the pants on the new one are a little bit more matte and they're just not as shiny. Now we take a look at my favorite of the pack here. This is the Squad Leader. We did get this in the 6-inch Black Series, but we didn't have soft goods as the skirt, so I guess this is technically better. And I don't know, I just really love how the Squad Leader looks. It's just got a nice amount of the blue paint on there, but it's not too much. I mean, the captain doesn't have too much, but I don't know. I just prefer how the Squad Leader looks. Of course, you got the comma here, which looks really cool as well. It doesn't have that normal belt with like the padding around and the pouch. It's just like a belt with all that extra stuff cut off, and then the soft goods for the skirt. We do have the same kind of pattern going on for the weathering, and it all looks pretty good. Here's a look at the back, and I'll show what the back of the normal one looks like as well. That's what we got going on there. There's a little bit more weathering on the normal trooper than there is on the Squad Leader, but I guess that's just what it is. Here's a look at the legs, which are basically the same across all the figures, and that's the Squad Leader. Then we could take a look at the captain here, and this is the one that's kind of the biggest deal. We've only gotten a Shoretrooper captain in that garbage 5 POA Rogue One line, where the figures, they only had 5 points of articulation, they could barely do anything. We did get a normal Shoretrooper in that line, a squad leader, and a captain, but I never got any of those because I just don't like 5 POA figures. But we do luckily have a captain in the vintage collection now with this figure. We didn't get one in the Black Series. And this one's looking really cool too. I did have a hard time kind of deciding if I liked it more than the squad leader or not, but I just feel like the squad leader has a little bit more going on. But here's a look at the paint apps right here. You got a lot more blue, and I just love this shade of blue. It looks really nice. I think it's supposed to be a little bit lighter or maybe a little bit more gray if we're going to be completely accurate to the on-screen version. But it's whatever. It still looks pretty good. You got a yellow stripe going on the wrist right there. And the weathering isn't as prevalent, of course, because you got the paint apps over it. But you do get some weathering still. There's what the back looks like. And for comparison, here's what the 6-inch Black Series figure looks like with the Vintage Collection. This is the archive release of the Shoretrooper. I never got the original or the squad leader in the 6-inch Black Series. But there's what that looks like. Of course, the 6-inch version is a lot darker, and it does look a bit skinnier. I just do not like the proportions on this mold. Sometimes it looks good, like with the hover tank pilot and the AT-ACT driver, but I don't know, man. I just didn't like how this figure came out looking. And just for fun, here's what the Lego Shoretrooper looks like next to the Vintage Collection. This is just the normal Shoretrooper right here that came in that Scarif set. And then we've also got the Lego Shoretrooper Captain from the TIE Striker next to the TBC Captain. And as you can see here, the blue is a lot lighter, a lot grayer on the Lego version. I think that might be what's more accurate, but I actually prefer the look from the Vintage Collection. Another negative that we've got going on here with these figures is that it isn't very easy to get them to hold their weapons. They're definitely going to drop them every now and again, and it's just because that trigger finger doesn't grip on very tightly to the blaster. So it's kind of unfortunate, but you can get them looking pretty good like this. And all in all, this is a pretty good pack that we got going on here. There's definitely some cons, the biggest thing being the paint apps on the visor. I just really think that that's something that shouldn't be messed up, especially since you have all the times where Hasbro does get it right. I don't understand why they can end up making them look so bad. If there's something that's like, oh, I can just fix it up with a Sharpie, that's whatever, that's fine. I mean, I still think it should be better, but when you have something like this that can't really be fixed, and now it looks like this, and trust me, it does look better than what it did before I fixed it up. It's just unfortunate. And it happens with a bunch of different figures, and I'm kind of sick of it at this point. But it's something you just got to deal with toy collecting, and hope that you get figures that don't look so bad. But these are some pretty good figures, and it's awesome to get a true builder pack for the Shoretroopers. And ultimately, this is going to be a pretty fun little pack. You get a lot of weapons. You get the captain, the squad leader, and then 2 normal troopers. It's everything you need, really. And at a value of around $40, I would definitely say that it's worth it. Just try and get it before it gets too overpriced. We can already look at the Stormtrooper Troop Builder Pack, and that one's already getting to pretty ridiculous prices on the aftermarket. I don't even want to buy that one now. But yeah, this is a really good pack. It was the Star Wars The Vintage Collection Shoretrooper Troop Builder Pack. A lot of troops in there. Troop Builder. Anyway, I really like this. It's great value. Just once again, you got to watch out for those helmet prints. It really, it's very annoying to me, because if the helmet's messed up, I mean, that's like the main part of the figure. But anyway, this was good. I definitely recommend getting it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Definitely going to be taking a look at some more vintage collection figures next. And I did pre-order the Boba Fett Morak. I already have the Book of Boba Fett, the Tatooine version, and I'm probably going to take a look at both of those figures in the same video. So I'm pretty excited for that. And then next up, I'm going to be taking a look at the Vintage Collection ARC Trooper Jesse, and probably after that, the Stormtrooper Commander from The Force Unleashed. Those are actually some newer figures, some actual newer figures, so I'll be looking forward to that. and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.